Today is the day, my friends. Today is the day that I share the first ever video on this channel about sex, intimacy, and connection. I am so excited because just yesterday I posted on Instagram asking what question you guys have about sex, about intimacy, and about building deep, intimate connection with your partner and with people in general. So I have gathered the top 13 questions, the most frequently asked of all of the questions that were asked, and the ones that I feel will be the most valuable for me to respond to and talk about in this video. So let's get into it. Before diving into the very first question, I want to let you know that this video has been sponsored by Natural Cycles, which is the first and only FDA-approved birth control app. All right, question number 1. When did you lose your virginity? I lost my virginity when I was 16 years young. I was in high school. I think I was a sophomore in high school, maybe a senior in high school. I don't quite recall, but lost my virginity in high school. Question number 2, and I'm going to be looking in this direction because I typed up all the questions. So question number 2 is, how do you connect with a partner who doesn't even know what connection is? So first off, it's important for you to communicate, for you to define and communicate what connection actually looks like and feels like for you. Like, what do you mean by connection? And for you to be able to communicate that to your partner, here's what I would love to experience with you. And it looks like this, it feels like this, and communicate those needs that you have, and then ask them, are you on board with this? Is this something you're willing to support me with? Is this something you're willing to do for me and with me? And then ask them if they're willing to define for themselves what connection means to them. What does it look like? What does it feel like? And then ask them to share with you. Be like, babe, I want to know what connection looks like for you so that I can support you in these ways and fulfill your needs and desires, and so that we can deepen our connection as a couple. Next question is, how do you build meaningful connections with people and connect on a deeper level? For me, what I have noticed has been massively essential in order to build deeper connections with people is to have presence, deep presence. And in this deep presence of fully being here with this other person, that they will begin to feel safe, that they will feel safe enough to open up, to be vulnerable with you, at least more so than if you were distracted and thinking about things while talking to them, not making eye contact, being on your phone, not really sharing with them that you're so here for them. So if you're wanting to cultivate deeper connection and meaningful relationships with people, whether it's your partner or anybody, practice presence within your own life. And when you're listening to other people, practice active listening. And you practice walking the talk of being vulnerable, of sharing your true self, and show them what that looks like. Another thing is to be curious, like be inquisitive and ask the other person questions that they may not just think of sharing those things with you unless you were present and you're like, hey, I'm genuinely curious. What was it like for you in your past relationship? Hey, I'm genuinely curious. What was it like for you when you were growing up and you were going through high school? What was that like for you? Like, be so curious, and again, presence with the curiosity. Because if you ask a question and you're sidetracked, the other person's not going to feel that readiness and safety to open up. Okay, next question is, do you still identify as gray asexual? So the answer is no, and I'm gonna share a link to a video down in the description where I actually talk all about this. So for those of you who are like, what do you mean gray asexual? When did you ever identify as that? A couple of years ago, I did identify as gray asexual, and I opened up about that, and then I shared a video kind of clarifying where I'm at with that now. So I'll link that down below. All right, next question is, How do you think diet plays a role in libido? So how does diet affect sex drive? Well, there's kind of different layers to this, but I'll keep it simple with saying diet matters. The way that you treat your body in all of the ways matters. Hydration matters. Are you eating whole foods? Are you eating fresh foods? Are you eating processed foods? Are you conscious of the balance of macro and micronutrients that you are consuming on a regular basis? Have you had your blood work checked? Where do you stand with your hormone levels and your nutrient levels and all the different things that contribute to your physical well-being? That matters when it comes to the functioning of your humanness and your sex drive. So yes, it matters. I'll leave it at that and just plant the seed of exploring that, exploring your well-being and getting a little bit more on top of it and more aware and more, proactive towards enhancing your physical well-being, especially if you are someone who notices that you have a low sex drive. All right, so the next question was one of the most frequently asked questions, which is, do you have any tips for increasing sex drive? So piggybacking off of the last question and answer about considering and focusing on enhancing your well-being, the nutrition and all of that, that is foundational. Also looking at how much sleep you're getting. Are you stressed? Looking at other things that play a role that could lower your sex drive. Are you addicted to any substances? How much are you drinking alcohol? Stress and cortisol plays a role in sex drive. Another is, how safe do you feel in the relationship that you're in? So there's kind of two different things. Sex drive if you're not in a relationship, sex drive if you are and you are sexually active. But how connected do you feel to the other person that you're being sexually active with? How safe do you feel? That is something to really explore. And if you don't feel connected and you feel insecure within yourself, you feel like there's not open communication between you and the person or people that you're being sexually active with, that is fundamental. So I would say there's a lot of different little things, but physical well-being, emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, how connected do you feel to yourself and your own sexuality? So kind of different things to take a look at. All right, next question is, as someone who wasn't very sexually active before, how do you feel having now embraced that side of you? Was it difficult at times, like emotionally and spiritually? So to provide a little context, if you're new here, I have in the past never really felt too connected to my sexuality. And that's something that I struggled with or just never really felt like at home with. And it's something that I have been working on in, I would say, the past year or so, more so. And so the question is, how do you feel having now embraced this side of you? Was it difficult at times? I would say anything that feels uncomfortable to us that we are stepping into is going to feel difficult at times. Has it been difficult and horrible and treacherous the entire time trying to embrace my sexuality? No, but there have definitely been awkward times and difficult times. Literally, I used to have the identity of I'm not sexual, I struggle with my sexuality, I'm not sexy, and I was locked in to that identity. And for me, I guess the difficulty was with allowing parts of that identity to shed as time went on. So really holding the vision and the intention of giving myself permission to be sexy, to be sexual, and allowing myself to drop and release that old identity that I had carried with me for a really long time. So the next question is, do you use birth control? What do you use and is it accurate? Yes, I use birth control. I've been using natural birth control, I think for the last 4 years or so. Before that, I was on the birth control pill. What I use now is called Natural Cycles. I have an app on my phone, the Natural Cycles app, which uses an algorithm that is able to track your fertility. After I take my temperature every morning, it shares with me if I have a red day or a green day. As far as the part of the question that said, is it accurate? So I imagine this is referring to, is it effective? Natural Cycles is 98% effective with perfect use. Perfect use means that if you have a red day, which means you're not supposed to have intercourse, have sex, that you don't have sex. So perfect use means like actually following what this method is to a T. And then with average use, it's 93% effective. And basically the only difference between average use and perfect use is with average use, 93% effective, you're not actually abstaining from sex when you have a red day, and perfect use is you are abstaining. It's important to note that there is no birth control method out there, none, zero, that is 100% effective. So natural cycles, perfect use, 98% effective. That's pretty freaking effective. It's a really good option for people who are looking for a natural alternative to hormonal birth control. And I know that this isn't possible for everyone. Like there are certain conditions and like fluctuating periods and cycles that will not work with this method, but this is a really good alternative to having a hormonal birth control. So if you have been on a hormonal birth control for a while and you're wanting to try a natural alternative, I highly recommend Natural Cycles. If you want to try it out for yourself, you can click the link in the video description, which will get you 20% off your annual subscription and a free thermometer. All right, moving on to the last round of questions about sex, intimacy, and connection. So the next question is how to let go during sex and enjoy. For me, I feel that this really comes down to feeling safe with your partner. Safety is fundamental. If you feel that your partner is there for you, they care for you, it's going to be easier to open up. Another thing is presence. If you feel that your partner is truly there, present with you in that moment, it's going to be easier to open up and enjoy. Something that you can do on your end, because those are kind of for your partners to establish safety and presence, something you can do is practice being. Practice receiving, practice opening, instead of doing and needing to figure out and like planning and thinking in your mind like what you should be doing in that moment and throughout your day-to-day life. Like practice being. Pairing that with your partner and that within yourself should support you in feeling like you can open and enjoy. Next question is how to deepen your connection with someone who has different love languages than you. So for those of you who don't know what the love languages are, I'll also share a link in the video description. There's a free quiz online where you can figure out what your top love languages are, and you can share that with your partner for them to figure it out too. Basically, this lets you know in what ways you receive love best and in what way your partner likes to receive love. So examples is like quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service. That might have just been all of them. But essentially, if you have different love languages, the key is to know what each other's love languages are and give to each other based on your top, or not based on your top love languages, but based on theirs. So if their top love language is physical touch, you better be touching them to let them know you love them in the way that they are able to receive it. Same thing if your love language is quality time and your last love language is physical touch, that's just not important to you, and they're touching you all the time because that's important to them and they think it's important to you, then it's not going to be received as well. So just getting on the same page and communicating about it, and also asking each other like, what type of physical touch do you like? What do you mean by acts of service? What type of quality time do you like? What type of words of affirmation do you like? And getting really clear and just talking about it. Next question is it wrong to ask for more? This question made me really sad when I first read it. My belief is no, it is not wrong to ask for more. It is so beautiful to be in touch with what you are wanting and desiring and needing in a relationship, and to be able to communicate that to the other person, because they may not know that you want more. They may not know what you want more of and in what way and how often. So for you to be able to gain clarity on what it is that you feel is lacking or that you would love more of, and be able to communicate, hey babe, you know what I would love more of? I would love more of this. I would love if we can do more of this together. I would love if you could give me more of this. I would love to give you more of this, like talking about it. All right, the last two questions I have similar answers to. So How do you have the energy to have sex if you're exhausted from work and responsibilities? And the next question is, how do you keep the connection and spark growing after being together for a long time? So my response to both of these is there has to be a commitment from both people. If you are busy as hell, if you have so many responsibilities and you're very tired often from all that you have going on, and so is your partner, and in a long-term relationship, you've been together for a long time, there has to be that commitment for keeping your spark and passion and chemistry and sex life and quality time and all of the things alive. Like, both people have to opt in and say, this is important to me, and here's how I am committed to making space for this, to prioritizing this. Instead of both people being like behind this wall and secretly wanting the same thing, secretly wanting more connection, secretly wanting to prioritize intimacy and connection, but not communicating that that's important. It's like you can see how there's going to be a lack of that. So being able to first come to terms with yourself, I want more of this, I want to prioritize this, seeing if the other person's on board, seeing if your visions of what that looks like and feels like for you, the frequency, all of it is the same, and creating an action plan on how you are going to prioritize. Not, I'm going to try to do more of this, I'm going to try to do more of that, I'm working on it, I really want more of this, but committing yourself. I choose to do this. I promise to do this. And getting your partner to be on board and say, I choose to do this. This is what I'm committed to doing for us, for our connection. So that is going to wrap up my first ever video about sex, connection, and intimacy. Somebody's driving into the driveway, so this is a perfect time to wrap it up. Look at Silas' little face. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your favorite part was in the comments below, and let me know if you would like another video about connection and intimacy in the future, because I love this stuff. One of my top priorities in life is connecting with humans, and deep connection, meaningful connection, present connection. So I would love to talk more about it. Let me know if you like that. And I hope this video was helpful for you. Again, if you're wanting to try out natural alternative for birth control, click a link in the video description. Thank you for being here with me. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.